Welcome to our first reading lesson. Today we're going to focus on character traits. Character traits are words that describe a character's personality. That means we focus on the things that they say and do instead of the way that they look or the way that they feel. Let's take a look at some of the characters we have here. Take a moment and either in your brain or with someone next to you, think or talk about how you would describe some of the characters that you see in this picture. What words would you use to describe their personality? Okay, you had a moment to do that, and I'll tell you some things that I thought of. When I looked at Winnie the Pooh, I thought of silly. I know he does a lot of silly things like getting stuck in trees, and a lot of the times his friends say things about him. They say he's a silly old bear. I also noticed some other characters. I noticed George down here, and I know George is very curious because he's always getting into all kinds of trouble since he wants to learn more about things. I know that the Cat in the Hat, he's a little bit naughty because sometimes he makes choices that get other kids in trouble. Now, I want you to listen to this. Here's Clifford. Would it be a character trait if I said that he's a big dog? No, it wouldn't, because that would just be describing the way that he looks. But a character trait describes a character's personality, and that's important to know the difference. All right, let's keep going. We had a chance to look and think about some different characters. So let's talk about how we're going to find a character's traits today. These are the 3 steps we're going to focus on. First, we're going to think about what the character says. So the things that they say in the story. We're going to think about what the character does, the things that they do in the story. And last, we're going to choose words that best describe how the character behaves most of the time. So, there are a lot of words that we could choose from. Let's take a look at some of the words. Some words I have here include rude. So that's behavior that a character can have if they're being rude a lot of the time. Trustworthy, if they show that you can trust them, and honest. Those things are very similar. So there's a whole list of lots of different words here that we can use to describe a character. And I want you to notice in this list that it's divided into different sections to make it easier to find them. So there are words like nice, mean, or sad. So if we see a character, for example, like Winnie the Pooh, we know that he's very nice. We might look in the nice section and look for a word to describe him. I might choose a word like cheerful to describe a character like him. Now, we know there are a ton of words that we can use for step 3. So let's put some of this into action and take a look at an actual story. Let's take a look at this short story together, and then we'll see if we can identify a character's traits from the story using our 3 steps. The title of the story is The Home Run. You can read along with me as I read it out loud to you. I want to learn to play kickball, Jason said. Meet me after school, Dave said. Dave told Jason the rules. He showed Jason how to catch the ball. He taught Jason how to kick. They worked together all week. That weekend, they had a game. Jason kicked a home run. Dave gave him a high five at home plate. Let me read it one more time to you guys. As I'm reading, I want you to think about these 2 characters, Dave and Jason, and start asking yourself, what words would you use to describe them? I want to learn to play kickball, Jason said. Meet me after school, Dave said. Dave told Jason the rules. He showed Jason how to catch the ball. He taught Jason how to kick. They worked together all week. That weekend, they had a game. Jason kicked a home run. Dave gave him a high five at home plate. All right, we've read the story 2 times, and we took a moment to think about how we would describe these characters. Let's look in the story. Who is Dave? Oh yeah, Dave is the character that's working with Jason. It says here, Dave told Jason the rules. He showed Jason how to catch the ball, and he taught Jason how to kick. At the end, I noticed it said Dave gave him a high five at home plate. So I'm focusing on all the sentences that mention Dave because I'm trying to figure out what word I can use to describe Dave. Let's read the highlighted words one more time. Dave told Jason the rules. He showed Jason how to catch the ball, and he taught Jason how to Okay, scholars, we had a chance to focus on some things that Dave was doing in the story. We know that he was helping Jason learn all these different things about the game. And then I noticed one more thing. In the story at the bottom here, it says Dave gave him a high five at home plate. So he was helping a lot. He gave him a high five. Let me come back to my list here. Overall, would we say that Dave was nice or mean? I would say he was pretty nice. I'm looking through this list and I'm thinking about that high five, trying to find a word that would match that behavior, that action that he did. And I would say that was very encouraging. He encouraged Jason to play kickball by teaching him how to do it. And then when Jason did a good job, Dave gave him a high five. So now I'm going to come right over here. So I know that one trait that I can say is that he was encouraging. And the example, the clue that I have from the story is what we just talked about, right? Right over here, that Dave gave him a high five at home plate. And I don't have to write in a full sentence here. I'll just write down my example. So he gave Jason a high five. Awesome. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my trait that I wrote here and I'm going to take my clue and I'm going to put it into one complete sentence. Making sure to name the subject, who I'm talking about. Dave is encouraging. In the story, who does he encourage? That's right, he encourages Jason. He encourages Jason by giving him a high five. Period. Great. So I took what I wrote over here, the trait and the clue, and I put it into one complete sentence to tell what one of Dave's traits is. Does that mean this is the only character trait that can describe Dave? Absolutely not. There's lots of other words we can use to describe Dave, and I'll show you one more example. So let's take a look here. It says Dave told Jason the rules. He showed Jason how to catch the ball, and he taught Jason how to kick. So I would say, without even using the list, because you know some character traits in your brain, and one that we have talked about before when we learned about leaders, is being helpful. So I would say that Dave was very helpful. And there's a lot of different little examples here, right? He told Jason the rules. He showed Jason how to catch the ball. He taught Jason how to kick. So I can pick one of those. Told Jason the rules. Here's what I want you to do now. I want you to pause the video and I want you to do this part for me. Write down the sentence that you would write to put together my trait and my clue into one sentence. Unpause the video when you're done. I'll show you how I would do it, and I want you to see if your sentence looks or sounds a bit like mine. Dave is helpful. In the story, he helps Jason learn the rules. Great. So there's more than one way you could have written this sentence, but just as long as you're including the trait and the clue, you did everything you needed to do. Scholars, today we thought about what the characters said, what they did, and then we chose a word that best described their behavior. Here I wrote most of the time. And this is a very short story, so most of the time is a little bit tricky, but as long as we can support our chosen trait with something the character said and did, we're good to go. And so that's what we did here. We did two different examples, right? We did that Dave was helpful. We also did that he was encouraging, and we were able to find evidence from the story right here to support that. Now, for your next part, you're going to try this on your own, and I'm going to show you how you can highlight the text just like I did. Description, you're going to see a link. The link is going to take you to this text right here called Tom is a Pirate. And then at the bottom of the text, you're going to see something like what we did together. There's a section for trait, clues, and then on the side, putting your sentence together. Here's what you can do to make it easier for you to write or for you to highlight. You can go right up here and notice this arrow that looks like this and press download. You can press save. And you should see it somewhere on your computer. For me, it went straight to my desktop. But for you, it might be in your downloads. After you download it, find the file and open it up like this. Great. You found the file and you opened it up. Now, I want you to notice right up here where my little black arrow is, that there's some different symbols you can click. This type of file is called a PDF. We can click this little sign that looks like a marker, and then all you have to do is drag your arrow over the part that you want to highlight, and it highlights it for you. You can even change the colors here. So maybe I want to highlight some different things in purple. I can drag my arrow over that and highlight it just like that. You can use this feature to highlight some of the details you're going to use for your clue. Scholars, if you're unable to do that and you're able to print the paper instead, you can do that too. If you can't print the paper, you can just write it all down. It's completely up to you how you do this next part. The most important thing is that you complete the bottom section. You choose a trait to help you describe Tom. You pick the clues that support your chosen trait, and you put it all together in one sentence. In the description box, you're going to find a couple of things. You're going to find a link for this story, Tom is a Pirate. You're also going to find a copy of the character traits page that we looked at together to help you choose one. You don't have to use that page, but that page is there to help you in case you feel stuck or you need some ideas for different character traits that a character can have. Scholars, remember, when we want to figure out a character's traits, like Tom, for example, we're going to read the text and we're going to look for the things that he says and does, the things he says and does. And that's going to help us figure out his character trait. It's going to help us find his character trait. Awesome job today, friends. I look forward to seeing what you chose as Tom's trait and what clues you found to prove it in your exit ticket today. Bye for now.